All right. Hello, guys. This is Amanda with the Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center here for Community on Call. And this is an opportunity that I have to meet and chat with other local leaders who support small business. And today I am super excited to bring you three amazing people from the New River Valley that have great information to tell you about as small businesses. So listen up. If you're watching this recording, I want you to listen to it because there's money involved that you need. So let me introduce you to who I have with me today. I have Angie Hill. She is with us from Montgomery County. Hi, Angie. And then I have Andrew Warren down here in the corner with the town of Christiansburg. And then I have Kim Thurlow with the town of Blacksburg with us. So why do I have all three people on here with me? You guys are used to watching this. I usually have one person. These guys have joined forces to support you. And that's why I'm so excited about today, because I think it's really cool what they've done. But we're going to talk about the small business grants that are available to you as small businesses and nonprofits for this area. That's been given, the CARES Act money. You guys have heard me talk about this a lot. The CARES Act money has been given to these localities to use, and this group has combined forces to do that. And I want them, I'm going to stop talking and let them tell you about it. But whoever wants to start, tell me what the name of your program is and just a little bit about it so that people understand as if they're hearing it the first time.
Well, if I can jump in with the funding part just for a second, the way that worked and the reason that we have combined forces is the state passed CARES funding through to the counties. And then if counties have incorporated towns within them, we were requested to share funding with the towns. So we did that. The finance directors met and we figured out how much each jurisdiction should receive. And then I'll let Kim speak, but we all decided that it would be a good idea to have small business grants, and our elected officials were in favor of that. And we thought that it was important because we all are in Montgomery County, even though the towns are part of the county, they're still sort of separate. And it was important for the programs to be the same.
I like that.
Yes, many of our businesses have locations in, multiple jurisdictions. And so it made sense for us to all use the same approach and formula.
And pool resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys are
absolutely. That was critical for us, and we really appreciate the county and Blacksburg's efforts. With figuring out how are we going to bring in the money, allocate that, and then also how are we going to process all these applications, in a timely fashion, in efficient fashion, and that's easy for the small businesses.
Yeah. We're in awe of you all and everyone that's doing these grants for this is extra work. This isn't like you don't have money to staff for this. This is extra work that you're taking on. So I'm always in awe of you all, and thank you for serving our small businesses in that way. It's critical to making sure that they can stay open. So thank you guys for that. But what's the name of your program? What are you calling it?
It's the Small Business Recovery Grant Program, and you can find information about the program on any of our websites by just typing in Small Business Grant COVID, and you will find all of the eligibility information that you need to apply. But essentially anybody from being a sole proprietor to up to 50 full-time equivalent employees can apply for the grant program.
That's incredible. And I want to just pause here to tell our small businesses that are watching, sometimes we say sole proprietor, and then we have to step back and realize you probably only see that word once, and that's when you got your business license and registered with the state, and you probably have never seen that word since and don't really think about it. But basically, if you're a one-person business, it's just you and your business, and you are registered as a sole proprietor, you do qualify for these. And I just want to say that again, because those are the folks who sometimes feel like they're not included or they don't know about it. But if you own a business and it's just you, odds are that you've registered as a sole proprietor and you would be eligible for this. Thank you guys for doing that too, because we have lots of those, lots of sole proprietors, some of which have brick and mortar and some of which are working out of their home. Okay, so tell me then, And this is open to nonprofits as well, right?
There's a separate nonprofit grant program that has a different formula that we can talk about, but it is not the same.
Okay, so perfect. I'm glad you cleared that up. So for our nonprofit folks that are looking, you're not going to do the same application that we're talking about today.
No.
So maybe at the end, we'll wrap back around to that and just make sure people know where to go to find that too for our nonprofit businesses. Okay, so tell me what the process is. Like, we're going to link to everyone's website so that you guys, when you're watching this recording, you know, depending on where you're at, if you're in Christiansburg, Blacksburg, or Montgomery County, you can click on the link and get straight to the information. So we'll make sure that you guys have that. But as they do that, can you just run through like the key points of eligibility? Is it just the employees, up to 50 employees? Or are there other things that they need to think about or consider as they're applying?
Yeah, they eligibility would be for majority business ownership, residing locally.
Other things would be to make sure that it is a current, you know, it's currently operating, and that there are, that it has the, you know, proper employee identification number, as well as we do require a DUNS number, which I think has been new to a number of our businesses, which is very easy. In my understanding, it's very easy to apply for a DUNS number. And there's I don't think the 1-800 number is, the toll-free number is the best route right now, going through the website to get a DUNS number.
Absolutely. And if you guys, if small business, you need help with that, touch base with us at the Small Business Development Center. We can totally walk you through that process. And at the end, I'll tell you how to get a hold of us. So we can definitely help with that if you guys have folks that need help with it. Okay.
You'll also have to upload a active business license, or for the county, it would be a business registration form. Those things. Go ahead,
There's been
Angie.
a little bit of confusion about the business registration form, because those forms are submitted to the Commissioner of Revenue's office, and the businesses don't always retain copies of those. They're not required to do that. And so sometimes they've said to us, we don't have a copy of our registration, and we can speak with the Commissioner's office and make sure that they have registered, or get a form to them if they haven't.
Perfect.
So we don't want that to impede their application.
Okay. So if you don't have a copy of your business license,
Well, the
or
business
the registration form, make sure that you don't just blow this off, right? Like you still can get help and get assistance getting that so that you can apply.
When people get business licenses, they get an actual license, but we're not giving the businesses anything back to hold on to. So we didn't want that to be a hindrance.
Perfect.
The other thing that businesses, in terms of eligibility criteria, would want to show is either a 20% loss in income or revenue as it relates to their business. And this is our way of kind of meeting the federal requirements of COVID-related impact. And so in the application, we'd be asking for profit and loss comparison between 2019 or 2020 of any quarter of your choosing, so that we can just verify that.
Awesome. And we know that our small businesses have that. I think everyone has that 20% or most of the time more. But what you're doing, you're not trying to help someone expand, for example, right? Like they're doing great and they want to expand. This money is specific to people who have been impacted financially by COVID-19. Okay.
Correct.
All right. So I think we've got that. You guys should be clear on what you need to do as a small business. And again, you'll be able to find all this information on the web links that we provide to you. I know that it's very clear there. I've read through it, and you guys will get that. So what happens when the applications are on your website, so they can apply there, and what happens when they hit submit?
So it goes through, we have an online application portal, and then somebody in our office is reviewing all of the applications to make sure that you've submitted the right documentation. There might be a few things that we need to follow up on related to your application, because again, we're trying to meet federal requirements, and we just want to make sure that we've, dotted all of our I's and crossed our T's. And so Ellen Stewart would be the one to reach back out and help you with that documentation. And then they go to a review committee just to talk about and hopefully approve the application. Each of our respective jurisdictions have our own review committees, and then they'll move forward to approvals and processing payment, and I'll let Angie talk about that.
So after the requests are approved, they will come to the county, since the county received the funds first, and the towns will remit payment back to us because we've passed the money to them from our care share. It will go back to us, and then it'll be processed through our Economic Development Authority. That's a requirement under state law. So businesses need to be aware that the Economic Development Authority is the entity that the check will be written from. And so as soon as we get those, we'll turn those around and submit them to the businesses.
Fantastic. And they are mailed out, correct?
Yes.
So we've talked to a couple of people, and like, I haven't gotten my check yet. And we'll say, are you looking for one from the Economic Development Authority? Because sometimes if they see that, they might put it over in the junk pile, right? So make sure that you know that it's coming directly from that. What kind of turnaround time are you guys thinking for these? Like, is it a month before they'll hear, or do you know what that is yet? I know that you're still processing these, so.
I think it depends on how complete the application is. And I don't know, Kim, if you can speak more to how the applicant will know what status their application is in the portal.
Yeah, they will receive that information you can go back into the portal and check the status of your application. It'll say application in review, or application approved, application denied. And then you can expect, Angie might have a better idea in terms of turnarounds of checks. It depends on the volume, probably. And each locality will be slightly different in terms of its time frame potentially. I know Blacksburg is looking actually to cut its first round of checks, hopefully even potentially before the deadline. So
Awesome. Okay. So you guys are fancy. You can sign back in and see where your application, if it's been approved or denied. That's awesome. I love that, because that puts it in their hands to be able to go in and do that. Okay, so we've talked about the eligibility. Tell me a little bit about how much is available and how you determine that for each applicant. Is it by employee number, or?
It is by employee number. So it is $1,000 per employee for the first 5 employees, and then would be $500 per employee up to the maximum of 50 employees. So the maximum amount of the grant would be $27,500.
Incredible.
Yeah, so now if you do have full-time equivalents, I'm sorry, Kim.
No, that's okay. I was gonna say for the, that's the maximum eligible award. So then you would still have to submit receipts up to or past that award, just so that, not everything's going to square to the exact number, right, in order to get the full amount.
Right. And that's important to bring up, is that the money's not given to you and then it's just done. There are receipts. And what can they use the money for? Like, is there anything they need to be careful about, or past expenses that they've had, or future? Like, what does that look like? Does it matter?
Well, it's to help compensate for expenses already incurred. And so once you receive that funding, it's your choice as to how you reinvest that in your business or your employees.
Fantastic.
Right. It is a reimbursement, so they will need to submit receipts and proof of payment to us so that we make sure that they are for eligible costs. And those are spelled out on the application as well. Utilities, rent, those kinds of things are included. But that's just a couple. There's a lot more that are eligible.
And a couple just points, like tips based on what we've seen in applications so far. When you're thinking about receipts, think about them as, you know, whether it's an invoice that shows the cost of it, but then you also want to be able to show that it cleared your bank account. So if you're thinking, you know, thinking about every type of expenditure in that way, even if it's payroll, you know, the amount of the payroll, and then how it cleared your bank account. Will just be helpful, and it'll streamline the process on the other end to make sure you can get your check cut faster.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've noticed is questions about FTEs and full-time equivalents, which means 40 hours is a full-time equivalent. So you would, you're going to be asked to share what your full-time equivalent numbers are for February 29th of this year, as well as in June. And the number that will be used to determine your maximum eligible award is actually the February number. We want to be able to support you based on what your business was originally providing in terms of jobs and employment. So make sure to look at that number.
So even if they've had to reduce their staff because the hours have been reduced, or obviously the same income isn't coming in, that's okay. They want to report those numbers from the February 29th date. That's
right.
Incredible. That's great.
So one 40-hour job would be one FTE, 2 part-time jobs at 20 hours, 1 FTE. So think about jobs in terms of 40-hour increments.
I'm glad you said that. We do get a lot of questions about, I don't have any full-time employees, so I can't apply, and it is equivalent. So if you know, even if they work 10 hours, right? You just keep adding the hours until you get to your full-time person of 40 hours. Okay. So everybody needs the link. They're going to apply online. I'm looking at you, small businesses who are watching this, apply now. Like, don't wait. And there is a lot involved in this, but it's also a lot of money, right? So we've got to track all of this. If people are struggling pulling receipts together, or they're not quite understanding exactly what's needed, where do they go for help?
They can reach out to grants@blacksburg.gov or info@christiansburg.org.
Fantastic. We'll make sure everybody has those too, in case you need help.
I'd also point them back to the website pages to make sure that they see the FAQ. A lot of the common questions we've had, we developed an FAQ to try and answer some of those, so it might help confirm something that might be unclear.
So everybody check out the facts. That also frees you guys up to get these things approved and checks in the mail, right? So do the facts first before you ask questions. And certainly at the Small Business Development Center, we can help you too. Particularly if it's language that you need to figure out, or you're not sure what's being asked for, we'd be glad to assist with that too. Cheryl Tucker is our advisor in the New River Valley, who's amazing, and we can put you in touch with her as well. Okay, so in wrap up, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure that our small businesses know about?
Just that our deadline is coming up here on the 20th. We are considering an extension, but that hasn't been finalized. So we do really encourage people to apply as soon as they can.
So, and ask questions. If you need help, give us a call. We're really
available.
Support you. We want our businesses to succeed.
Yeah. This is, what's so tough for our businesses are so busy trying to survive that oftentimes they put these things off to the side when they know it needs to be a priority. So we just want to keep reminding everybody, spend some time this weekend, take an hour or two out of a weekend day, early morning if you have to, or late at night when you have that free time, and make this a priority, because it's important, and it's an opportunity for you to take advantage of funds that we know you so desperately need. Okay, so let me
mention it before, but
go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to say, you might have mentioned it before, but if you start that application, you can always come back to it at a later.
Yes.
to, if you get into it and you say, oh, I need this piece of information, I need to set it aside for now, then you can log back in and then put in your information.
We've been hearing from small businesses that it's been taking about an hour to 2 hours, depending on what your records are like, to be able to complete the application. The hardest piece is actually probably pulling together the documentation rather than the actual form.
Yeah. And a lot of it for you guys, just to set you at ease a little bit, if you also took advantage of the Paycheck Protection Program or an economic injury disaster loan, it's going to be a lot of the same stuff. So you might already have your records pulled together, but I love that you said you've gotten feedback, it's an hour or two. And I think we can all like pull that out of our day, even if we have to wake up an hour early, right? A couple days in a row to get this done. Thank you for mentioning that you can go in and start it, because that just feels good to start it, right? Like, okay, I'm going to focus on this. And then be able to log back in to finish it if you need to stop and get information. Or your kids crawl up in your lap and you can't finish it. That happens a lot with our small businesses.
We have had a lot of questions about if you were successful at getting PPP or the EIDL loans, are you still able to qualify? And absolutely yes. The main issue is that you can't duplicate expenses. So if you paid for something with PPP, you can't, double dip and pay for it again with these funds. But I'm sure that you guys have additional payroll expenses and equipment or supplies that could qualify. So just keep that in mind.
Yes. And for those of you who need more payroll assistance and you did do the PPP, that was for a specified amount of time, which we know we have all gone way past and still need assistance. So you can use money for payroll, it just can't be for that time frame that you use the Paycheck Protection Program. I know that we answer that question a lot too. It's because it's confusing. But I think that's clear. Thank you for mentioning that. Let me wrap back around real quick to the nonprofit side, because that's a different thing. Can you guys just provide me with a link or something that people can get to for the nonprofit information?
And again, nonprofits are going to be signing in through the same exact portal, but it'll be a different program. They'll just see a different application. And that is, again, called the Nonprofit Recovery Grant Program. Again, it's accessible through all of our websites through a quick search. The deadline for that one is rolling. So it's somewhat first come, first serve, because we recognize that a lot of nonprofits don't have reserves to spend, and so they might have been holding off on some expenses. So it's structured slightly different in that it's part reimbursement. It could be for future expenses, but the expenses would have to be incurred before the end of the year. And we would need copies of the receipts just like we would in the small business program. And then that application would close on October 15th.
Got it. Okay. So for our nonprofits out there, you guys have an opportunity to apply for these. It's the same place, different application.
Correct.
Okay. Awesome. Anything else you guys want to add before we sign off? Did we cover it? Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here with me to talk about this, to be right in front of our small business so they can see you and hear from you. And once again, guys, apply. Take some time this weekend. And at the very least, promise me that you'll start the application. And then lastly, if you guys are watching this and have questions, just leave a comment on the post, or you can reach out to us privately through one of our social media outlets, and we'll make sure that we get those questions answered for you. If you're watching us on YouTube, there's not going to be the ability to comment, but you can roll over to Instagram or Facebook, and you'll see the video there and can engage with us from there. I'll be watching for those, and so will the team. And then I'll make sure you guys, if we have questions that we can't answer, we'll make sure that you guys get them and we get an answer back to folks. So thank you for your time. Thank you to the small businesses who are watching, and I hope that you apply very soon. And if you've already applied, our fingers are crossed that you're going to be approved, and just let us know how we can help. You can reach the Roanoke Small Business Development Center at roanokesmallbusiness.org, and we serve the entire New River Valley, as well as the greater Roanoke Valley and Allegheny Highlands. But for this specifically, we're talking about the New River Valley, and really excited for you guys. So thank you all for joining me, and we'll sign off with that. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.